When it comes to TV shows that are aimed towards girls, such as MLP, Totally Spies, Sailor Moon, Monster High, the one that always caught my eye was Winx Club. I caught it during the time it was being dubbed by Nickelodeon from season 3 to 6. It was a show about a girl named Bloom, who finds out she's a fairy, and she travels to a college for fairies called Althea, and she meets Fairy Stella, Fairy the Shining Sun, Flora the Fairy of Nature, Musa the Fairy of Music, Techna the Fairy of Technology, and they form the Winx Club. And in season 2, they get a new member named Aisha, the Fairy of Waves. The first 3 seasons were really known as the peak of the franchise, and very beloved because of the plot, characters, and of course the fairy transformations. The favorite of many is Enchanted's, the final fairy form. The final, I say that in quotations, I'll explain that later, is basically the most powerful form that they have. So after season 3 and the movie where they graduate, one note that I will say about the movie, they are the only ones that graduate. It's very weird. Anyway, in season 4, they find new enemies, the Wizards of the Black Circle. They also become teachers at Althea and travel to Earth to find the last Earth Fairy, who is named Roxy, the Fairy of Animals, and bring magic by the Earth. But to do so, they need to earn another transformation called Believe It. They earn another transformation? Okay, so apparently there are other transformations that a fairy can earn, but you see, once season 4 through 8 came around, they earn new transformations, but only for specific situations. After season 3, all of the seasons have a theme, instead of just a normal story where they happen to earn a form that helps them in the long run. Season 4 was about Earth, 5 was about oceans, 6 was mythology and legends, season was animals, and 8 was space. On paper, they do sound nice, but the execution was very bad. Seasons 5 through 7 was kind of like a semi-soft reboot, but not a total one. It still continued the events of the last seasons and the season prior, but things changed. See, since they didn't want to abandon the Winx girls and move on to different girls or different ideas, they have them all continue to be all together and all come back to Althea in season 5 through 8, even though they already graduated, which is again weird. Cause once you graduate Althea, you don't come back. It's not like normal college where you come back for another degree, but they also made it seem like the girls haven't really aged that much, or that they didn't graduate, even though the Mystery of the Abyss movie said that they were, so what? It's so weird. They kinda de-aged them in a way, but still kept their accomplishments for the past seasons. It's kinda like how Ash from Pokemon is permanently 10 years old, but his accomplishments throughout the years are still there. Heck, all their newer outfits make them look younger, to keep the illusion that they're still around the same age from when they started Althea. They also kind of retcon many things from the past seasons. Season 8 was a major reboot, but they still had the past events happen anyway from the past seasons. Kinda. But the biggest difference is that the girls and everyone else had younger appearances to the point where they actually look younger than they should be, which wasn't really very good, but that's also mainly because season 7 and 8 were mainly aimed for a more younger audience. So why am I talking about this? Cause I rewatched all the seasons and my brain melted with how they got worse over time. So I'm gonna talk about how the state of the Winx is, with these bullet points of everything that's wrong with it, starting with the Winx themselves. Other reviewers have said this, and I agree. They have become sort of like a hive mind. They always sit together, they always follow each other, one says something, they do it. Once they graduated, I thought we'd see them separated on their home planets, dealing with whatever issue they have by themselves, and because each of them are their world's guardian fairies, that they would maybe occasionally come together for a problem. But now, since the studio has them always together at Althea, because they don't know what else to do, and to make for each of stories, they also make the other fairies at the school not do anything, and just cower and run. Because the Winx are the ones that always say the day. They are the main characters. But that is no reason to make every other fairy at the school not help out. Back to the Winx themselves, they don't really have much different personalities now. Their personalities have become very one note. Especially Bloom, who is the generic team leader. and is always praised for being great. Bloom is so cool. We need Bloom. Without Bloom, we are powerless. Without Bloom, the Winx Club is nothing. Let's hope Bloom saves us. Bloom saved the day. Great, as always. Bloom did it. Yay! Give me a break. I can't handle this. Starting with season 6, she's always the one to call out Winx, transform! And say, Winx Cosmets, Winx Butterflits, blah blah blah. Oh, and Bloom's the lead singer of their band. Even though Musa is the fairy of music and can sing, Bloom's just a Mary Sue nowadays and has to steal the spotlight in stories and save the day. Even in stories not about her, because none of the stories out of season 3 are Bloom focused. Her story ended out of season 3. Here's an example. Season 5 was about Aisha's cousin being the villain, her home planet in peril. Her family members turned into mutant mermaids. The season had an ocean theme and 2 ocean-themed transformations in Aisha's The Fairy of Waves. And who saves the day? Bloom.
Excuse me?
Ugh, I could go on and on. Also, I noticed that some of the wings are shafted to the side. A lot. Next, we talk about transformations. Not counting the spin-off from transformations like with Dream It and Unread It, after Believe It, we get fairy forms such as Harmonits, Sirenits, Bloomits, I'm not kidding, that's a name, they could have used Dragonits instead, Mythits, very poorly handled, and Musa was treated poorly in that one too, not using any Mythic spells on the show. We have Butterflits, god I hate this one so much, Tinits, and Cosmits. The forms are okay, some are pretty. The songs, minus Bloomits, are good. I love Harmonits, they look stunning, especially Musa and Aisha. They also look good in many other forms. You can tell they're my favorites of the show. Bloomits, despite the name, I do like the warrior-like clothes. Cosmits is okay, but in many of these new forms, I do not like how matchy-matchy uniformy they all are. Like a lot of their clothes nowadays. Only differences are accessories, maybe the hair, or color matching the wings. Look at the hairstyles for Sirenits and Tinits. They look the same. You put them in the darkness, you won't be able to tell who's who. After Believe It, it's like they scrapped designing ways to differentiate the forms between the girls and just make sure that they match their color scheme. It's kinda lazy. Speaking of lazy, the spells themselves are pretty much always just generic spell beams or generic shields, matching the Winx's powers, and the spell names are just bad. And I mean really bad and boring. There are only a few that stand out like Diapason, 13 Seal, Natural Camouflage, but still, a lot of them are generic. Anyways, Season 4 and beyond set the motion of transformations for specific situations. But in Season 5 to Season 7, they made it seem like the new fairy form that you earn is now your default, and you can't go back to your other previous transformations. Like, once you got Believe It, Enchant It, it's gone. Once you get Butterflits, Bloom It is gone. But that isn't true, because these fairy forms are only needed for specific things. So I do not understand why they made them transform into Harmonits and Sirenits entirely on land, when they're only needed for underwater missions. It's not supposed to be stronger than their other transformations. Also, when they transform nowadays, it takes forever. No joke, we literally get sequences that last 2 minutes plus. And they keep saying their names all the time when they transform. Bloom, Fairy of the Dragon Flame, Musa, Fairy of the Music, blah 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 blah. We already know who you are and we know what power that you have. Stop it! So the transformations that weirded me out the most was Bloomits and Butterflits. Cause Bloomits was so out of nowhere. They had to get this form cause they lost their powers, except for Bloom, shocker. The name sounds very made up. Farragonda just says it. I don't even know how she even knew it. It just sounds so made up. Okay, it's a fairy form born from the power of the dragon flame. That sounds super interesting, but they do nothing with it. Call it Dragonits. That's better than Bloomits, my god. I'm even okay with Flamits. This isn't the first time that the name was made up for a fairy form. Like with Dreamits, they made up the name, but it made sense that Stella came up with the name because it was new, no one knew what it was prior, and the name made sense with the power. But Bloomits? It just, I hate that name so much. And it's unclear how Bloom even knew she could share her power with the girls, and why did she get Bloomits? Again, it's so weird. Now butterflits. Oh man. Oh, this form. It makes no sense. They didn't even need it. But let's say, for example, that they did. This form is basically the most weakest of the fairy transformations because it cannot harm nature itself, which is basically, everything. And the fight scenes are bad because of it. They are so weak against their enemies. Ugh, and that ridiculous dance that takes forever. Ugh, I'm so glad I got rid of it in Season 8. There are many situations where they don't even need the transformation or even fight against the main villain, who I'll talk about later. And the name is odd because it's about nature and the power of the fairy animals, not specifically butterflies. They didn't even know about this form before even getting it. It just appears. Same with Tinets, which is just diamond overload. I do like the idea of mini worlds actually though. It's very interesting, little worlds inside of a magical things. It's very interesting. But I don't get why it's all crystallized. Everything in there is crystals. Not all of them, but a lot of it's crystal. I don't get it. Now, before I move on, let me show you something with butterflits. So, the Winx and Roxy defeat the monster. The power of butterflits flies to all of them. And then... Notice anything weird? You don't know anything weird? You see anything weird over here? Oh yeah! Roxy didn't get butterflits. What?
Why?
Why not?
Why though?
Roxy. The next topic is Roxy, because they did her character very dirty with Season 5 to 7. At the end of Season 4, she applies to Althea. In Season 5, she reveals that she got accepted, but immediately when you get to Althea, she is banished to the sidelines, doesn't even transform, doesn't join the Winx in their missions, their new missions I mean, and once you got to Althea again, she's just seen in the background. In the background, no lines, just going on of her own. We don't get to see anything of her progress, see her make friends of her own, yada yada, adjusting to Althea. We don't see any of that. Why? In Season 6, she speaks a tiny bit more, but not by much. And in Season 7, oh, why? Ugh. Roxy is the fairy of animals. Season 7 is all about saving animals, and the villain is capturing fairy animals. And it would give her, like, her own rival / villain to fight against, like with Bloom and Icy. And because she's considered by fans and the show itself as the 7th Winx member, it would obviously make sense to have her involved in the main plot, right? No. So, she goes with the Winx into the past to find an animal, does more work than the Winx, is very adamant about treating animals right, helps the Winx fight the monster, tells them what to do, and she doesn't get butterflits? She's literally right there and caught up in the magic light. It gets worse. While I was looking up information about butterflits, guess what I found? Yeah, Roxy in a butterflits form in one of the video games for mobile devices. Apparently, this game was made before Season 7 aired and before the script was finalized. So that means originally, she was supposed to get butterflits, but they changed it. And because of that, she doesn't even get Tinets. Oh, guess what? It gets worse! In the next episode, she gets her stolen memories, which she uses to time travel with the Winx, stolen by the villains. And she is not able to go on any more missions with the girls even ones that don't involve time travel. And she doesn't even fight in the final battle. Ugh. Like I said, because of the whole keeping the girls young together and Althea, they had to keep the number of the team low, so they had to shove Roxy aside in order to make for easier stories. Now let's talk seasons. Season 5 was a good start, but it went south once they returned to Althea. Some plots were boring, some were copying the same plot beats, and the villain wasn't all that threatening. Like, the world didn't even feel like at danger like it did with the previous seasons. And again, Bloom saved the day instead of Aisha. In season 6, oh my goodness, they just gave up. Literally, just boring episodes, not really feeling like the world's in danger, messy things like changing the pixies, so much filler. Same with season 7, literally having no plot, blah blah blah, Roxy's character being done dirty, blah blah blah, so much filler, blah blah blah, villains are boring, blah. And season 8. Oh, season 8. I just can't. I'm too tired. Too kid-friendly, bad redesigns, boring plot, repetitive things, relationship dramas again. Oh, and surprise! Bloom is bestest once again. And the climactic ending. No. Oh, Tritz. Oh, poor Icy and her planet left frozen in time. Cause why not? Winx get everything they want, but Icy can't wish for her planet to be back to normal. Cause yeah, of course, why not? And now the villains. Seasons 1 through 3 villains were great, and I liked season 4's villains with the Wizard of the Black Circle, but season 5 had Tritanus, and he was just a spoiled, angry dude. Season 6 had a messy plot inconsistency with Selena being Bloom's childhood friend when they were kids, and Asteron being basically non-existent. Season 7 with Kashura, Barphilius being goofballs, and season 8 brought Valtor back, but it did nothing for it. And again, the ending was just, really? Oh, before I go on, the fight scenes are just boring. Like, really boring. And just, sitting there just doing nothing, just waiting for the attack to come for them. Especially in, the CGI scenes. Oh, the CGI, I swear. Ugh. So, yeah, the show has had a messy run. I do like the spin-off World of Winx. The girls are written better there, actually treated like adults. Though I thought Roxy got shafted again. And the story was interesting. Season 9 will all be CGI. I don't know if who will return in there. I'm pretty sure Roxy won't appear. I'm pretty sure Ingenio Serafi said that she won't. I hope I'm wrong. Though I do remember that he said that it'll be going back to AIM for its older fans. So I hope that he's telling the truth about that. I hope it's okay, because we don't know anything about it yet. Anything could change by now. We don't know. I love Winx Club, and I'll always check it out on the off chance it's good, but I have my doubts.